Aloha and welcome back to Tiki Tuesday Talks. Excited to be here as half the country is in some kind of snow or ice storm, dreaming of better weather times. We got a great one coming from a Las Vegas local. Let's get these guys on. Rains, what's happening, man?
How are we doing? I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. You're in your house last minute change, huh?
Yeah. As you can notice, this is not the Golden Tiki, but I tried to bring a little bit here. We got one of our mascots. He's our spirit animal, Charles Vestibule Sasquatch Esquire the Third, right there. And he doesn't like to be called a gorilla, just so you know.
Okay, good to know.
Especially if you hit him up on his Tinder profile.
Oh, okay. I thought
he gets a little animal.
Yeah, right on, man. Tim, what's happening?
What's up? Coming at you from what's up?
Where you calling in from?
Calling in from Denver, one of the states in the snow and ice storm, but it's starting to warm up a little bit. So
yeah, it's a balmy 13, you said, or something like that over there.
Which is better than the -6 of the last couple of days.
There you go.
So
there you go. So you're dressed appropriately for your run outside.
Yes, got the heater on, but I'm tiki always.
Perfect. Love it. Steva, what's happening?
Well, it snowed in Birmingham last night, which, as you may or may not know, never happens here. So it's like it didn't even stick for real, but of course everything closed. It is 14 degrees. So
wow. There you
to
go.
be fair.
Well, that's pretty cold. That's pretty cold.
Tomorrow it'll be 60, so it's fine.
There you go. That's what I'm looking at here, I think. Somewhere in the 50s right now, which is not bad. Aaron, you got a new plant. Tell us about the plant.
New plant. It's growing.
That's pretty cool. It's kind of mod a little bit there.
Yeah, it's got that like sleek trim. So we're going from modern efficiency today. So, but joining you from Baltimore, it's a balmy 51 degrees here in Baltimore. So I kind of feel like I'm in this tropical oasis. So I'm living my best tiki life today. So
I'm mad at you.
so salty.
Listen, it's not Birmingham for nothing.
It's not what?
I said it's not Birmingham for nothing. We are very salty here.
Yes. Well, I guess you should put some on the road.
Get out of here. Stop. We save that money for football tickets. We don't need salt trucks and snow plows.
Because getting around isn't like a necessity at all.
Right. We don't need to do that.
I mean, probably you don't really when it comes every 8 years or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I
did get stuck in an ice storm in Kentucky for an entire day last Wednesday. So that was fun. 1 inch of ice on the planes that sat overnight. I thought I was winning because the plane was already there and I was getting on a 6 a.m. flight. But I guess they didn't really think about covering the plane in any way.
No.
In the middle of an ice storm. So,
but global warming isn't happening. Remember that.
It's not. Don't worry about it. Tommy Tuberville, Alabama.
Let us say Roll Tide. He was an Auburn football coach, so to that I say Roll Tide.
Right.
We don't claim him.
Apparently, you can do anything after you're a football coach.
Yeah.
You're well equipped for any job. President.
Hey.
All right. On that note,
some cars at least.
You guys a little bit. I got to talk to Mr. Rains about some things. We'll talk to you a little later. Sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh man, I'm excited to be here. I've always wanted to visit in person, but virtually is
gonna happen.
Almost
September.
as good.
Let's do it. We're doing this thing. We're doing.
Oh, heck yeah!
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. But anyway, while we're here today, let's talk Tiki-Pandemic. This is kind of an iteration on a topic we've had a few times, which is an important topic for us. Is how do you get through this shit? Basically, keep people safe, keep your program integrity and all those things. So I'm excited to hear about it from your perspective, with your work at the Golden Tiki, an amazing high volume tiki bar here in Las Vegas. As usual, chat box and questions, please hit us up. We'll share them, whether it's via Facebook or Zabby. The presentation, 30 to 40 minutes. Cocktail session, 10 minutes. 5 questions with Tim will come after that. So without further ado, I'll pass it off to you, sir. Tell us.
Beautiful. Well, yeah, again, thanks, brother. It's always awesome to talk to you. And, you personally, bro, I don't want to get my nose too brown, but you've always been a good support and giving me good advice. And I'm excited, man. But I think this year or last year, of course, we've all learned a lot. We've had to go through a lot. There's been good, bad, and ugly. And I want to remind everyone that we were kind of, we were in a maturing beverage renaissance, like right when this was happening. And then kind of you could call it a new golden age of tiki, like tiki fervor was kind of happening. And then just when we felt like all was right in the world, like when even in casino bars here in Las Vegas, they were starting to use fresh juice and things like that. And people were interested in beverage and doing it right and interested in tiki. And it hit everyone. So it's a great thing that we can talk about it, and talk about what we've learned. Cause that's one thing that I found during this shutdown is being able to talk to people, even if it's just a vent, like has been one thing that's helped us get through it, but then also, share stories and stuff. So
I think that's been an interesting thing. That's been a running theme with a lot of people come on and talked about, hey, how do you navigate this? How do you make the best of obviously a very tough situation? Is like sharing information and ideas. Like, hey, I did this actually worked, or I tried this didn't work, right? And yet, again, from the outside looking in, or I guess even on the inside, and what we're doing is like, you got to try some different things than you maybe would have ever thought of, and be open to that in order to navigate something like this.
Right, absolutely, and that's one thing we learned. Even, and we'll get into it as we talk today. But one thing you learn is kind of back to basics, like those general rules that you always think about during a boom time, like you think about, but maybe you don't always practice them because you're just you're in the boom time, you're going. So it's kind of like those basic things are what you need to adhere to, just like in baseball, fundamentals.
100%. All right.
And then if any of the viewers don't know me, I'm originally from San Diego, but I've lived here in Vegas for a while. 20 years of bartending. So, of course we love our hashtag TikiAF, but my other hashtag is old AF, of course. that's that proof right there. I just a brief summary. I bartended in college. I always loved it. After college, I got into the glamorous world of insurance claims adjusting. And
we should do a seminar on that, man. I'm sure the crowd is dying to know about how that goes.
Oh yeah, it was almost like Office Space, but I cleaned carp on my desk. It was amazing. But
I do love that movie. That movie had to get through a lot back in the day. I'll tell you that.
Hell yeah. But then soon that grew tiresome. So then I moved to Vegas to get back into the beverage industry and bartend again. I bounced all over. Finally got a good job working for Mario Batali restaurants, and then joined the USBG, and then just thirst for knowledge, because even though I wasn't in school, I think what helps get us through stressful times is learning and growing. I think that's one thing that you can focus on, especially when you are a bartender. Like, you can easily focus on all the negative. You need to fill your brain with the good things and the things that are interesting to you. But and that includes like if you're going to be a competition, if you're going to do, competitions but just knowledge in general. But yeah, now I'm the beverage director of Golden Tiki. And I last year, one cool thing, I got the 2019 or the year before last drink specialist of the year, which that one's kind of a big deal in Nevada because it was that one felt good. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. But now just to set the table so we know what we're talking about, and for those that haven't been to the Golden Tiki, it's of course a tiki bar in Chinatown in Las Vegas. Chinatown is essentially maybe like 5 miles long of strip malls of Asian restaurants and Asian markets, more or less. And we're kind of indiscriminately located in one of those strip malls. And yeah, we're 24/7. We're a gaming bar. But one thing I really like about our bar is that it has that, especially before the pandemic, it has that kind of democratic nature, as in anyone's invited. You can see anyone and everyone there, like from daytime gamers to cocktail nerds, bachelorette parties, tiki fanatics. Depending on what bands we're playing, we'd have live music all the time, and each band would bring a different vibe. And I was always say it's like 10 bars in one, because if you're there 4 a.m. versus 4 p.m, it can be like a completely different crowd, but they're still all in there enjoying that tiki escapism, So,
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool, and we had a good. And you know it well. You've been there. You've been there since before I've been there.
Right. I mean, it's great bar. It is, to your point, being 24/7, being kind of having the music aspect. Like, it's different than a lot of tiki bars I end up in. It's obviously got to be a beast, but I do think one part, to your point, that's really fun about it is it's kind of different things for different people, right? You can really geek out, go deep on the tiki catalog and what have you, or you can just be there having fun, drinking a beer. And I think that's a nice aspect of it, is that you can kind of engage on it at the level that you might want, right?
Exactly. And that, sometimes that's a difficult line to straddle, especially when you have, like if you have a crowd of tiki fanatics, tiki heads, and you right next to them, you have that bachelorette party. That's a completely different experience. And then the gamers, it's always been a struggle to be able to do it for everybody. So that's one of our strengths, but it's also one of our struggles. But and then one cool thing though is that we are a good mix of locals and tourists. I would say it's maybe roughly, unscientifically, maybe 70% locals, 30% tourists, something like that. But that's a fun thing. And then we have definitely a dynamic kind of ownership model. On one side, we have the finance, which is financed by the Lev Group. And then our other owner is Brandon Powers, who, he's almost like it's a modern PT bar. What's that?
Yeah, he's a social media star.
He is. He's like a freedom fighter against fraudulent Yelpers too. You read some of his Yelp responses are very varied and amazing. Sometimes he'll be so, like, if he knows we messed up, he's so apologetic and will give them the world. But if he knows it's BS, he will not. He's not scared to resort to the size of their penis and personal attacks. Okay. And it's pretty entertaining to read. So I think that'll be a book eventually. It's just Brandon's Yelp responses. But but yeah, like I was saying, he's kind of modern PT Barnum too. He's a definite showman, and like all the decor, we're definitely decor. Like, all right, once you walk in, before you even have a drink, it's you're transformed, like all tiki bars. But Brandon's even, brings animatronic birds into play, and like every day he wants and changes something. So it's pretty cool. But in that dynamic, two opposed, views, you have the visionary showman Brandon, and then you have on the corporate side who controls the money. So it's always a push and pull between them. But so far, since 2015, been able to do a lot of fun things, even if we struggled in the beginning, and it's been a bar though for almost over 30 years. It was Little Macau before Golden Tiki, and then before that it was Marker Down, which was the same people that, I don't know if you're familiar with Money Plays, and probably everyone knows a Double Down. It was the same bar designers and same owners back in the day. So you'll see some similarities in all those bars. So, but
gotcha.
But so, leading up, I came out in 2018, and then by 2019, I think we were hitting stride though. Like that's kind of when all these things were happening. Like we were growing 30% from the year before 2018, then 2019 growing 30%. So it was a steady climb. And I think it's partially because of the tiki craze, but it's, and for sure what Brandon does. But then I think what we're able to do on the beverage side, I think helped as well. And this is one thing I'm going to tip my cap to Pete for one thing you told me right when I came on. You're like, I see the things that you need to do. I think you need to make the drinks better, make the staff better, and then bring awareness. And you just encapsulated it all. And that's kind of, it made it easy for me to focus on those things. So like, in 2019, like I said, we were hitting our stride. For brand weekovers in other cities, at least once a month, we would go. Like we did Arizona, Bitter and Twisted. We did Polite Provisions, San Diego. We did Mexico City, Waikiki Tiki Room, and Zombie Village, San Francisco. Like it was really cool. And then on our side, we would always have a guest bartender at least once or twice a month. So we were really trying to reach out to our industry brethren, because, prior to me coming on and prior when we first opened, we went through a lot of turnover, and I think we had our reputation with the industry was a little spotty, to say the least. Cause we just went through so many bartenders and had a lot of that stuff. So that was a really key point in building it. And then, making the staff better, we were doing more staff training, and then drink quality, and we were getting better products. And because when I came on, I think we had as many vodkas as we did rums almost. Like it was one of those situations where it's, all the flavors, because it was kind of like the old dive bar tendencies were kind of just creeping back in. And partially because that's what, especially late night people that are partying, that's just what they want. But yeah, so we did that, and then charity community support. We did a charity mug program and raised like $7K that year, and a lot of brand partnerships and samplings and stuff like that. So 2019, in summary, we were kind of hitting our stride. And then, as we know,
let me just interject. Well, one, thank you. I'm glad some of my pontification actually resonated. I got a lot to say usually, so it's good to hear that made some sense. But yeah, I think I'm excited for things like you guys, what you were doing with, takeovers and sharing. And that's always very exciting for us. We love to facilitate that stuff, with what we do. We're friends with a lot of these people. So I'm excited for that to kind of get back at some point down the road. And I think it's right on that you guys are doing it. But yeah, so let's get to the fun of 2020 here.
Yes. Just like in the Brady Bunch. Yeah, I'm old enough to have seen reruns of it when they got that Tiki Idol. I think that Tiki Idol, we picked it up or something. The whole world did, and the bad one. 2020. It started off normal. We were guns and blazing, but then we shut down. We shut down in March, and every year, I mean, like every month was a different set of variables. Like we went from shutting down to partially open, then we had to shut down again because staff got sick, and it was a lot of turmoil. So yeah, the variables were crazy. The regulations were crazy. political, social, economic issues were all over the board. But we did have a couple busy months in there, but yeah, like all those challenges came to a head because it affected everyone. Like you were saying earlier, we want to keep the staff healthy. And that was a major thing. You had to change your whole sanitation regimen. And depending on the regulations, you had to change your seating. And it was a constant battle with that. And then just to kind of gauge what people wanted and try to get in the minds of people. And, those are some of the issues. Obviously we were making less than before, and a lot of our fixed costs remain kind of the same. So that was a major thing. And then product availability. And I'm sure if there's, operators listening, there was a lot of issues with that. Every day, every week, we're using something different, and we could either not get ingredients or we have to wait for them. And if you have a tiki cocktail and you can't get orgeat, you can't just make it like a la minute, it takes a while. And then plus, especially like in the Mai Tai, if you're using a different orgeat or a homemade orgeat, your flavor profile is all the way different. And it cascading. And then other cocktails, like if you have, 8 ingredients in the cocktail and you don't have 2 of them, but you're trying desperately not to 86 things if you don't have to. It was every day. It was some ways it was fun, and it was a fun game to try to remake these flavors. And I like doing that. But when it's every single day with 3 or 4 cocktails, it was pretty taxing.
Wow. So what do you think that was related to distributors just not keeping inventory of things because they were trying to manage their cash problems too?
I bet that was it. Yeah, I bet that's definitely part of it. Distributors, yeah, and they furloughed so many people, so you couldn't get a hold of people. That was one part of the issue. Yeah, and I'm sure they're just trying to go through inventory the best they can. And I'm sure off premise was the game for them. So I know in some cases they just reserve, and they're still doing it, like just reserving things only for off premise. So for the big chain stores and things like that. So yeah, that was part of it. And one sad thing that's coming out of this, I know that a lot of people that have been furloughed aren't being brought back, and many distributors are just trying to make us order not with a rep. They want us to order online. They're like, it's easy as Amazon. Just order online, which I've personally I push back against because I like that personal connection, and half the time their system is not fully ready when they give it to you. And then plus I want to support all our brothers. Like I think our industry is about connections and humans. We're a human industry for sure. So but yeah, and then supply producers that was another issue. And then for our staff and for operators, like, social distancing, like having to enforce that in a social business when people are having drinks, especially. And then maybe some of those people don't believe that it's even a real issue or whatever information they're getting, and the information's changing all the time. So that was a real drag on operating. And then the staff's mental health on top of that, because I think the whole world was a little stressed, and we really had to be cognizant about that, and try to give people breaks, because financially and when they go to work, if everyone they're dealing with is stressed, it was pretty rough. But we, and I'll get to it a little bit later, some of the things that we did to take care of that. But it was just, we really tried to sell it to our employees that like what we're doing is vital for one thing, like it's vital for us because when you're at work, you kind of put the world away, especially at a tiki bar. You're escaping the world. We don't have TVs or news on. So that helps us to get away, but also what we're doing is helping people's mental health in some ways. We're making people happy. And like in these times, especially, like it was vital. So that was one thing that we definitely had to do. Dealing with reservation only and all the capacity restrictions. And like I said, having to police the mask wearing was pretty tough. A thing that we had to learn for sure.
Yep.
So, so we doing all that, like I said, we learned a lot. And I think that for those of us that are lucky enough to still be open and still be in the black or mostly in the black, it's amazing. So we feel so fortunate. And I know, like, especially when some of the best bars in the world have had to close. So, but I know when we get to the point of more things opening up, there's going to be a lot of talent out there that our industry is going to be better from this experience that we've had. Like I was saying earlier, we had to get back to basics and be flexible. So like we definitely in a lot of ways had to reinvent our business model and, the whole time focusing on those basics, on guest experience, on just doing those mechanical things like learning the reservations, learning, keep maintaining your Tiki brotherhood, even if you can't be out there with them. We had to think long-term, and you mentioned it earlier. So thinking long-term and short-term, because if we're trying to tighten the belt and we're trying to reduce costs of goods and everything like that and labor costs, but you can't damage your brand. You still have to give good service. You can't give a drink with, tiki drink with no garnish, for instance, like garnishes and tiki is a thing, like especially in the cost is a thing. So that was, that's definitely something very vital that we had to deal with.
That's pretty interesting, seeing it from my side as a brand owner. I was definitely encouraged, especially as things kind of came back, in the end of the summer into the early fall, right before we had, again, challenges with case counts and the like. But to see people still committed to having the right products, right, and putting out the right thing. And I think that's a question that everybody has to individually answer to themselves is like, what am I putting out there? What are the things that I could shave because I have to? Because that is part of staying afloat, right? And then what are the things that I'm not willing to compromise on? So I think that's a really interesting kind of reckoning that you have to have as a business. And I was encouraged that I felt that a lot of people still look to product quality, cocktail quality as being something that was not really negotiable. Or at least only mildly flexible, not something to completely throw down the river, getting into this.
Yeah. And it was definitely tough, especially like I said, with those two opposing visions of our ownership model, because
right.
We have the corporate guys, and especially in our example, they mainly own restaurants. So this is the only tiki bar. So trying to, make sure that they understand that this could, if we switch to, like from a zombie to a tiki mule, like the alcohol amount is different and the guest expectation is different. And we actually did that on our happy hour, and there was a backlash too, because you don't think that's like one thing. Like we struggled with some things like that, and we, like I said, we had to maintain our flexibility and go back and like that was definitely, we added a lot more refreshing tiki selections, like the Saturn we put on, as opposed to before we had a Singapore Sling. Like we kind of changed out some of those, but then we found that some people only think of tiki as a booze forward, 2 sips and your head changes type of experience. So
right.
we've had to juggle those things. But yeah, part of it is we, mainly focus on guest experience and I mentioned trying to control labor costs but you still can't, you have to give people that experience, especially for us. With seating reservation, there was a time when we didn't have any bar seating at all. Like that wasn't allowed. So, and you go into Golden Tiki before, it's a raucous affair, sometimes 4 deep and the band playing. And then you go with no seats at the bar and just table seating. It was a completely different vibe. So we had, we focused on the guest experience. So we started, one thing we changed is that we had all the bartenders had to do table touches. We brought, and I think you can go to the next slide too. We had to, we did more kind of tableside fire shows as well, more tableside. We did a couple tableside cocktails there. We did little, we tried to reinvent with new offerings to see what people like. So you can see up there on the right-hand side, there's little tiki flights. So 3 little mini cocktails, which people love that. But we obviously had to figure that out to make sure that there's quality and that there is, it's not taking, the bartender 20 minutes to make one of those little, mini tiki cocktails. There's a few steps involved, So that was one thing that kind of helped. And we did a cocktail in a can too. You can see the Tiki Rasputin, which was, that one's always fun. Yeah, that's my face on there.
I thought it was. Yeah, nice. That's really, I think that's quite interesting is how do you replicate that experience, especially to your point. I mean, half the whole place is the bar, right? So not just the scene, but even just the physical space, right? If you can't be at the bar at all, how do you bring some of that experience to people? I think that's a good approach, is thinking about it that way. And even thinking, as you hopefully evolve out of the tightest restrictions, how do you still think about that, with the way that you're delivering service, et cetera, in that universe,
Exactly. Yeah. It's, that's one goal that I have, that we can somehow find that middle ground, and the numbers really will back it up, because we were still at more or less when during the middle of last year, when restrictions were somewhat loosened, we were at 50% capacity. And even the last month, when we're at 25% capacity, we had about 75% of the revenue that we had when we were fully open. That's like how we were able to get it down, by controlling all those costs. And there was things like some of the fixed costs, like maintenance in the place. Those are some things that we had to either put off or decide what we're going to do. But yeah, so that's one thing I'm kind of excited about going forward, that we can maybe control the guest experience a little bit better and do better, do bigger and better things, instead of 4 deep and maybe the guy that's all the way in the back, it takes him a half hour to get the drinks. Maybe now we can just ensure that everyone gets a good experience,
Got it. So maybe less number of patrons, but bigger check sizes, more engagement, kind of more of the Golden Tiki experience, as opposed to just kind of cranking on, quick drink type of vibe. Exactly.
And that's what we've been able to do. Our servers have been great and our bartenders have been great. They are able to give more because they have to. And that to me included, I've had to learn to give a little bit more and just adjust daily. Like I'm not doing bartending shifts right now because, I'm lucky enough to still get salary, while a lot of bartenders are working 4 shifts or 3 shifts and they're shorter shifts. So I personally had to give up, but like I mentioned earlier, I'm just so fortunate to have a job and to make this work. So, and that's one thing too, we're communicating that to all the staff, like all the contributions, not just to say, I did this or this manager did that or that, like just let them know that we're all in this together we're all doing what we can to keep the bar open and keep these tiki dreams a reality.
Yes, sir. Indeed. Here we are. We're on a digital session right now. Keeping our tiki dreams a reality. Yeah.
We find a way.
Yeah, indeed.
But yeah, to talk about flexibility just a bit more with reservations. That's one thing we had to learn. Like we did reservations beforehand. Like we did some, but not just a reservation only system. So we had to kind of go back and forth between managing when people do no shows. Are we charging them? Are we not charging them? And that's one thing, to be honest, we've struggled with a little bit on finding that middle ground to make sure that we have a full house. And we're lucky. We have a line almost every night and we're full during our peak times. Like we're absolutely full. But so that's one thing. So we're constantly evolving that out of necessity, of course. And then that goes with thinking long-term as well, because we don't want to, we don't want to come across as we're trying to take advantage of people and essentially nickel and dime people for, for things that aren't needed. So that's one thing. One thing that we learned, and I'm sure everyone's learned, they've had time at home to, do more social media things. And it's been a buzzword forever and everyone does it. Everyone's addicted to social media to one extent or the other, but we used it at Golden Tiki because I wanted to keep with our Tiki brotherhood and keep putting out our message is, Facebook Live. We've learned to make that happen. And we're learning how to do it better as well, and partnered with several different YouTube channels and actually one that's coming up, Food Criterion. I'm super excited about it. It's old friend from Carnivino days, Julia Pinarolo, who's doing a new food YouTube channel, but it's sort of, I've seen some of it so far, and it's almost like it's Anthony Bourdain kind of meets Quentin Tarantino-ish.
Wow.
His lofty goal, and we had a lot of fun shooting that.
Nice.
Because it's a fun. Our place throws off a vibe, and he was actually one person that was able to capture the vibe pretty nicely. But yeah, and then we, from all this, we did a lot of brand partnership before, but now it's even more valuable, especially if our revenue's down like that. If you have a sampling, and as long as it, partnering with the brand, that's as long as you're not selling your soul, as long as you're not, it works for your brand, it's congruent with your brand, it's amazing. But because, like, for instance, like a $200 tasting back last year might have been, I always wanted to do them and get people involved, but it's right now when your revenue's down, that extra $200 in sales means the world. And it could be partnership. Like right now we're partnering. Lemba has been great. They're the ones that sponsored today. They've been great this whole pandemic because they're here local. They're bottled here in Las Vegas, made in the Dominican Republic, but they've been great. We've had several good partners, but and partnering with you right now. We're partnering with Tiki by the Sea and bringing Golden Tiki and Tiki by the Sea together, and like I said, making those tiki dreams reality.
Indeed. Yeah. Tell us a little more about Lemba.
So Lemba is made in Hispaniola distillery. It's in the Dominican Republic, and it's they make three different marks. They have Agricole, which is 43% ABV, a little bit higher than normal, but it's definitely still, I would call it almost it's a really good beginner's Agricole. It has, of course, Agricole made from the fresh pressed sugarcane juice. It has a little bit of grassiness to it, a little bit of herbaceousness. This one is, definite kind of more subtle. So it's not as pungent as some, because for the newcomer to that style, sometimes it can be off-putting. So this one kind of straddles that line between that like kind of lemongrass and vanilla. The Agricole is the first one that I really liked. It makes a really good daiquiri. They do a Superior style molasses based, which is aged 1 year. And that's just a great white rum. Also really good for a daiquiri. And then their spiced is made from their Superior. And it's actually spiced here in Vegas, up in North Las Vegas, where they bottle it. And it's really good. Really great as a modifier. It has a lot of spice notes. It's definitely more intense than most spiced rums. So even at like a quarter ounce or a bar spoon in a cocktail just adds that really nice those background flavors. Really good.
Right on. Tell us about your cocktail here.
Ooh, so should I get behind there and start to make it?
Good, man. Let's
okay.
do it.
Let's get it. All right. So I have my home bar here, like I mentioned earlier. We had some last minute plumbing things happening at Tiki, so we're gonna make this work. Let's get it going.
Put this up for people here.
Okay. All right, so let me move this out of the way. So I'm gonna make
what a pro.
I'm gonna make the Lemba Lemba Aku Lapu. So this is a variation of one of the iterations of the Chief Lapu cocktail. The OG one was made at the Don the Beachcomber camp. They believe it by some of the guys that work for him who were Filipino. And it's commemorating Chief Lapu, who was hero. And the original version is a little bit different than the one I'm going to do. The original one has passion fruit and a couple other things in it. We're going to do a version that's closer to the one that was in the Aku Aku room in Las Vegas, which was in the Stardust. It's part of Las Vegas history and Tiki history as well. So let's get it going.
Yeah, I think you got a slide here on that. Look at that. Amazing. Aku.
I love that. Pete, you've been to Sunset Park here, right?
Yes, indeed.
Sunset Park, that statue is actually in the middle of Sunset Park, which is
right.
Which is cool. So we ride bikes around that thing the whole time, man.
It's wild.
So I was thinking, well, let's do a Tiki by the Sea, and you could steal my idea. I want to do my own Tiki festival eventually. But here's still the idea. Let's do it. Let's take over Sunset Park and do it around that lake and that statue.
Got it. All right.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen, awesome. Man. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So let's start this cocktail. So I'm going to get, so I have my mug ready, and I'm going to start with a little bit of lemon here. Let's get it going. And this cocktail brings a lot of juice and a lot of booze together. So, it's in great Tiki form, of course. I'm going to do a little bit of grapefruit here. There we go. And some delicious fruity with that beautiful zippy acidity pineapple juice. And we're going to have a lot of other things in here. So we want to balance out, that tart grapefruit and that lemon, which can be aggressive. We're going to add a little demerara in there. And part of that balance, we're going to add some velvet falernum. We use John Taylor's, kind of sort of the standard.
I got something coming for you, man.
What's that?
I got a falernum coming for you in that department, sir.
Ooh, I cannot wait.
Yeah,
I cannot wait. And
hopefully by May.
Oh, I remember you telling me about that, and the world is. I think the world's ready. We're ready for it.
It's slow, but I think we're almost there. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's your main flavoring? What's the base?
The base is Agua Ambarana and Agua Still Strength. So it's got some kind of body character. It's going to be 23%, so higher proof, kind of punchier, if you will. All around.
Oh, that's great. More shelf stable then too, because
should
that's
be.
One thing you don't want to leave this out. At this low ABV.
Right.
So, oh, that's awesome. Because I was gonna say it's fun to make, because like we couldn't get this for a little while and we had to make our own, and it's fun to make, but it's so much easier if you're doing any volume to just grab the bottle of awesomeness and make it happen like that.
Totally. Yeah, definitely. I mean, people can make their own and make it really well, but it's a lot to keep making it consistently year over year on your own,
Right. Exactly. All right. So I have a little Velvet Falernum. I'm going to do a little Demerara style rum here.
Pussers. Yep.
Dig this stuff. It goes in our painkiller, as it should, by copyright law. And it's probably the best version. I mean, I've tried it with a lot of different rums, and that's one of the best. I mean,
yeah.
And here, like I mentioned, here's the Lemba Agricole from the Dominican, 43%, vanilla lemongrass. So that makes it a little bit of a herbaceousness to balance out the spice. And then, like I said, here's a little bit of Lemba spice blend. We only do a half an ounce here because, like I said, it's pretty intense, and this is one ingredient that could take over a cocktail pretty easily, which is nice. It's nice as long as you know what you're using and what you're using it for. It's great to have that. So, all right. So I have all those ingredients, and then of course let's add a little touch of the exotic. I have some tiki bitters in here. More exotic. Touch more of the exotic. Because I know just having this guy right here, Charles, it's exotic enough. I keep bringing him up because he talks to me all the time. Is that weird?
Nice.
Yeah.
That's how you get through a day.
All right. So now I'm going to add just a little bit of crushed ice, and I'm going to give it the old whip shake. Let's get it.
Yeah, buddy.
Just enough to incorporate the flavors, and that we get a little bit of dilution from the ice, but mainly to incorporate the flavor, and it aerates the cocktail. Smells amazing. I'm going to straw test this, as I always should. Even though I'm the only one that's going to drink it, so if I mess it up, whatever.
Good discipline. Good discipline anyway.
All right, I'm just going to pour it right in. And I like to pour it in, and then what we do is we just douse it with all the crushed ice that we can. We want to get it just as cold, as fast as we possibly can, because then at that point it reaches that chill point, and then it cocktails a little bit more stable. We get that kind of instant dilution. So I'm going to get our straw. I have our swizzle here, and it's tiki. Why not have 2 swizzles? Who cares? Why not 3? Here's another one. Let's do it. It's a competing brand, but where it's all about Tiki Brotherhood, like we were saying. And then here I'm just going to do a little dehydrated orange crown for Chief Lapu. And here he goes.
Right on. Looks delicious. Uber that over to me, man. Just put that in an Uber.
That's pretty darn good right there.
Awesome.
Tastes like a tiki cocktail.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for joining us. We're gonna grab Tim in a second here, but yeah, keep doing what you're doing. You know, I think it's great to hear stories like yours about navigating through, getting creative. You know, and I think it's the right approach, right? How do you take the long term? Obviously, knowing this isn't forever, but you got to be nimble, but you don't want to kind of toss everything away, right? So I think it's encouraging to hear that, and you know, look forward to seeing you back over there.
Awesome, brother. Can't wait to see you, man.
All right. We'll put you aside for 1 minute. Don't go anywhere yet, though. Tim.
Yo.
What's up, man?
Oh, man, I'm thirsty after watching that.
Yeah,
that looks
seriously.
really delicious. I'm going to have to try and recreate it, I think.
There you go. Yeah, it's perfect weather for you to do that over there.
Exactly. I could pretend.
Get some crushed ice outside, you know?
Yeah, just some snow.
Yeah, look, Steve is even wearing a sweater. I've never seen you.
I'm cozy.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
I was watching that drink. Adam Raines made me one of my favorite drinks ever, which was I don't even think he knew I was associated with Tiki by the Sea. It was an Avois Negroni mixed with like Dole Whip.
Oh yeah, we got to put it back on for that.
Yeah,
dude, that drink rules.
Yeah, that's our Viking Tiki Negroni.
Oh my god,
it's on the menu now too. So it has
give me pineapple and coconut.
Awesome. I'm glad you like it. And I know a lot of purists are like, wait, you put a Dole Whip in a Negroni? What? But it's just good. And then it has the I don't know if you've heard of Aquavit. Have you ever heard of that?
Once or twice.
The Danish Aquavit in there, and that caraway. Little hint of caraway with the pineapple and then a little bitter. I'm glad you like it as much as I do.
Dude, it rules.
That's awesome.
And then it looks like a little sundae.
Yes.
That
was the best.
Awesome. I'm glad you dig it.
That sounds delicious. You're getting me wanting to drink before 2:00 right now.
I mean, listen, is this coffee? Is this a hot butter brew? We'll
never know. Yeah.
All right, bring Raines back. All right, so let's hit you 5 questions.
Game show. Let's go.
Favorite quote from Steve McKay? Yeah.
Oh, I think it was. I don't know the direct quote, but it was when you chose to ice her at Tiki by the Sea, and it was just her reaction. I think to getting iced. After specifically saying not to be iced.
Would you call that a positive or a negative reaction?
I'd say initially it was a negative, but then.
Did you fear for Pete's life?
I did a little bit, as well as I was kind of scared. I was kind of scared of you for a little bit too, and then I realized that that's just your relationship, and then I was like, oh, okay, I can do with this.
Fair.
Excellent. All right. Weirdest thing you saw at Wildwood? Weirdest.
Oh.
Here's Aaron. Let's bring Aaron in.
Weirdest thing at Wildwood. I don't know. I feel like it was me and Pat Joyce doing most of the weird stuff. So I feel like I wasn't actually seeing it. It was just us in our onesies doing a lot of weird stuff.
Oh my God.
I think you out-weirded Wildwood. You basically out-weirded.
We definitely out-weirded Wildwood.
Wow. All right. I mean, that's fair. A lot of onesie action. There's a lot of photos of that.
Who was in the romper? It was you, Pat.
It was Joe Nickel, Pat Joyce, Stephen Kuzminski.
And Mike Pasteur.
Yep. In Florida, yep. The Romper Squad.
All right.
Romp hymns.
Romp hymns, yes, correct.
Yeah. You guys
Aaron,
missed out on the big.
Send it to you.
That could be a big company. You know, I feel like you could sell them on Facebook.
I will never romper.
Get him one.
It's coming your way.
Put plants on. He loves plants.
Yeah, all right.
Hey,
All right. Yeah. Just like these Amazon leggings going around. Okay, yeah.
There you go. There you go. It's all about comfort now, Aaron. It's all about comfort. All right. Next question. Favorite meal in Wildwood my dad did not make. Favorite meal.
oh come on! I was about to say the Swedish meatballs.
Oh yeah, there you go. We haven't heard that one.
Yeah, those were
Make
insanely
those.
good. I already had that planned. I was like, if he asks me my favorite food, that's what I'm saying. Still dreaming about those. I would say the Patron dinner. I forget the name of the restaurant that we went to.
Beach Creek.
Beach Creek.
Yeah, Beach Creek.
Yeah.
That whole meal was just delicious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pig and Patron. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, you
Right?
can't go wrong.
There you go. There you have it. All right. Favorite memory from Tiki by the Sea.
Ooh, to be honest, probably meeting you guys, and then developing the relationship into working for Drifter and working with the company. I feel like that was definitely the most positive experience for me. Also, all the people I met. I knew a couple people going in there, and I feel like relationships just grew, and I made some everlasting best friends. Who I'd never met before Tiki by the Sea. And then, we text all the time. We have a Tiki chat that we're still a part of, every day. People are in there commenting. There's probably 10 or 12 of us at this point. So I definitely think the relationships, obviously the knowledge, because that's why I went there, but that was expected. I didn't expect to have these everlasting, relationships from a 3-day event, to be honest.
Super cool. Glad to hear that. I always like to hear that. Tell us about Denver. What's going on? What's up in your world?
Denver is at 50% for indoor dining right now, with outdoor dining. It's really cold. You'd be surprised how many people are still sitting outside with 12 degrees next to a heater and then complaining that it's not warm enough. We have literally had to tell people,
People are so smart.
The heater can only warm so much when it's 12 degrees out. You can literally be holding your hand, burning it, but your wrist is still cold. So I don't really know how to explain to people that it can only get you so warm, but it's warming up now. So we also have some greenhouses at my work at American Elm, which is pretty awesome for right now where it's so cold. We do have heaters in there that warm you up, but starting to get back to normal. They're saying hospitality hopefully will be getting vaccinated April or May at the latest. Woo. So that'll be really good for sure.
Very cool. Awesome. Any questions, Steve? What do you got?
Not much. Just excited to see you.
I know, me too. I'm excited to see you.
It's weird that I haven't been to Denver in over a year. It feels very weird.
Yeah. And Tiki by the Sea. Tiki by the Sea is happening.
We're doing it.
Tiki by the September.
We're doing it. If I have to drive everyone to Wildwood myself.
just a bus. You take a bus trip around the country and pick everybody up along the way.
Tiki by the Sea tour. You just go pick and you do it on the bus.
Road Rules wasn't my favorite thing when I was in high school. I will just recreate Road Rules and go and pick everybody up. It'll be fine.
Cleve. You need Cleve DJing the whole trip.
Oh my God,
for
right?
Sure.
Just keep him up
for sure. He has to be there
with Adderall or something. You know what I mean?
Aaron, get your CDL license now so you can be the driver, and Cleve will be the DJ, and I'll just keep everybody in line.
That sounds good.
Sign me up.
I'm good with it. I'm really good with it.
Let's pick up Reigns in Vegas. He's coming on the trip.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I love it.
Bring the whip machine. Bring the whip machine with you for the bus.
Yes.
Oh man. We'll be whipping it the whole time. I love
it.
And then we can hit every weird little tiki-fied bar.
Ever. Ever.
I'm ready.
It'll be like a 2 week. 2 week bus trip for sure.
Nice.
We could stretch it out. We can stretch it out. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not doing much this summer.
Get planning.
I mean,
Teach my
Aaron, I
kids to
feel like
drive.
you could pedal a bunch of like canes. I've been thinking about this. You could pedal a bunch of cane mixers. We're making money on the way. I have a business plan.
I got a bunch of
ready.
crap to sell. I got all kinds of things to sell. Not
I mean,
legally.
Yeah, I'm ready.
You know?
I mean, you get sponsored. I think there needs to be a minimum of at least 4 blenders on the bus.
Yeah.
At least 4.
Yeah, we're gonna have
We'll have a
the whole
rodeo
bus
in the
wrapped.
back. We'll have a
Yeah.
rodeo in the back with the blenders.
Yep.
Just doing his thing. You know,
3 different
all
types of ice selections. 3 different types of ice selections.
Arroyo
three
is not
different types
allowed
of
on my
dictionaries
bus.
downfall.
Yes, there you go. There you
Arroyo
go.
has to follow in a van by himself. He is not allowed on my bus. I'm sorry.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow.
Savage.
Rules. Here we go. Rules.
I mean,
Steve-
listen. Like
There
I
it
said,
is.
I've been thinking about it.
Reality's already crashing. It's already come back.
JK, I love you, John Arroyo. Most of the time.
Damn.
So good.
See what
All
happens
right.
when you give us time off? We get honest.
We got a lot of Natalia said, "Bring road rules back."
Yes.
Right?
Like I'm about it. I'm about that life. I really am. Like
That's hilarious. I haven't thought about that in quite a long time.
Oh, it was my jam.
I would get a haircut for that one occasion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You got to bring the plants. We need a lot of plants, you know.
I was gonna say yes. You need a tropical oasis in the back somewhere.
Right?
So
I'm sure we've lost everybody at this point. So it might be a good time. Amazing to see you guys. Rains, you rock, Tim. So glad things are getting back up. Stay warm out there.
Yeah.
Keep the fight alive. And yeah, I'll catch you guys soon. Hopefully IRL. But always a pleasure.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Great seeing you.
Guys, appreciate it.